Rated M for mature. You've been warned, biatch.
Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're not talking about movies. This is the Qatar theater review. So I'm going to be talking about the theaters here in Doha for two reasons. One is for all you Westerners who don't live here and don't know what is going on. I want you to learn about what we have to deal with as theater goers here in Qatar. And the number two reason is I want to get a discussion going with all of you guys and girls. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know if you think I'm spot on.
That is correct.
Or if I'm wrong.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Just let me know in the comment section below. So let me preface this Qatar theater review with a little bit of history, right? I've been in the GCC now for almost 10 years.
10 years! 10 years! 10! 10 years!
5 of those years were in Kuwait and a little bit in Dubai. The last 4 years, now almost 5 years, I have been here in Doha, Qatar. I've watched movies in Russian theaters. I've watched movies in Korean theaters. I've watched movies in Japanese theaters. And I've watched movies, of course, in American theaters. So when I talk about my theater experience, I'm talking about it compared to not just America, but all over the world, all the places that I've been to. So let's just get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the selection of movies you get here in Qatar. It is actually pretty great. It's really eclectic.
Pretty good.
We get a lot of indie movies that you wouldn't think that you would get over here. You probably don't even get in the main theaters in America. So I'm really glad for that. And of course, we get all of the big budget tentpole movies, you know, that everybody else gets all over the world. The only thing about that is most of the time we usually get them a little bit later, sometimes a lot later. We just now got The Escape Room, and that thing came out like 2 months ago in America. But what I really like about the theaters here in Qatar when it comes to selection is we get a lot, and I mean a lot, of straight-to-DVD movies in the theater. Stuff like Steven Seagal movies and Sharknado 4. Now the Sci-Fi Channel, we got it straight in the theater and it was a big premiere and everything else. Now when it comes to the availability of these movies, to be able to go watch them, sometimes you have to go from one end of Doha to the other, depending on which theater you go. We have 4 different theater chains. We have Flick, we have Vox, we have Cineco, and we have Novo. So we have 4 different cinema companies here in the country. And of course, the different theaters get the different movies, so sometimes one theater will have it for a week or 2 weeks and then it's gone and it goes to another one somewhere else in Doha. So sometimes you have to track them down. And sometimes, like with the independent movies, we only have it here in the country for a week or 2. And that's pretty frustrating considering the fact that you might not have a chance to go see it. So as good as the selection can be, actually finding which theater it's in and how long it's going to be here can be a little problematic.
Do we have a talent?
Now, the biggest issue that affects us theater goers here in Qatar is, of course, censorship. There's nothing worse than going to a movie and having it butchered by some hack editor who works down in the ministry. They probably hate their job. They obviously hate movies because they would object to actually cutting these movies up. These movies are art that someone created. It's basically akin to going to a museum and you don't like the way a painting looks, so you take out a brush and some paint and you spackle a bunch of blue and green paint on it. Oh, that's better. That's basically what they're doing. They're ruining other people's arts for a living, which I don't understand how you could do that. Myself as a filmmaker and an editor, there's no way that I could ever do that. But the whole moral and artistic thing aside, it just ruins the movies. I went to see Hell or High Water and the censor decided that they would cut every F word out of the movie. And I don't mean like fade the audio out or bleep them. They cut the section of the movie out that had the F word. And if you've seen Hell or High Water, you know that it is a hard R movie. It's full of F words. It got so bad that I actually walked out of the theater and demanded my money back. That was Cineco. Cineco actually gave me my money back at Gulf Mall, and I thanked them for that. The manager actually apologized to me about the censorship. You know, he said it wasn't him or his theater. It's done elsewhere.
It's not your fault.
So I didn't get mad at him. Sometimes they cut whole sections out of movies, like The Wolf of Wall Street. They cut an hour of that movie out. Conan, the new Conan with Jason Momoa, they cut like an hour out of that movie. So really, what was the point in going to see them? They were destroyed. They're ruined. Wait till they come out online or watch them, you know, when they come out on Blu-ray. Most recently, there were 2 movies that I saw that really agitated me. There was Sicario 2, which they butchered. You know, the whole first part of Sicario 2 starts with 2 terrorist attacks. Now, they cut those out completely, so the whole catalyst for the movie is gone. So all the emotional impact, the reason that you want to see, you know, these agents and the military go and get the bad guys, they took out. I walked out of the theater and demanded a refund. And this was at Flick Cinema. Flick Cinema told me that they wouldn't refund my money because it's not their fault. I told them it was their fault because the poster still had the same runtime as the original runtime. And I told them that they're not telling anyone that the movie is edited. So it was their fault.
You're a liar and a thief.
Okay, they didn't cut it, but they're not telling customers. But I did get excited to watch that movie recently because I went on Qatar Airways and they had it on there. So when I went to watch Sicario 2 on the airplane on Qatar Airways, I hit play, went to watch it, and they cut out the beginning of the movie too.
Can't go on with this. I can't go on with this.
So I didn't get to see it still. The other movie that really bothered me was Deadpool 2. I went and watched Deadpool 1 and they only censored out a few things, you know, some dick jokes, some of the nudity or sex or whatever. Okay, you know, I don't mind if they cut out some of the kissing or the sex stuff. I see boobies all the time. Ryan Reynolds actually provided voiceover for the dubbing of the movie.
Because you're a piece of shit.
Every F word, every word like shit or ass or whatever, they dubbed over everything, and it completely ruined the film for me because half of the jokes in that movie are tied to profanity. Kind of like, you know, snakes on a plane.
I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
On TV.
I have had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
So that's the type of censorship that we have to deal with here in Qatar. Now, if you go to see anything that's PG-13 and below, it should be pretty safe. Like on Ready Player One, they didn't cut out the F word at the end when Chucky appears or anything like that. If anything is rated R, I guarantee you, your movie is going to be ruined one way or the other.
You ruined it. You ruined it and I'm leaving.
But enough about the censorship stuff. Let's talk about the customer service. The customer service in all of these theaters is actually pretty great. You know, the people are professional, they're courteous, they're fun. You know, they really care about their jobs. At least that's how it feels like to me. Every time I've gone, I've never dealt with anybody who was grumpy or seemed like they didn't like to be there, you know? But what I want to focus on is the theater attendants, all right? Because these are the people that show you to your seat and then after you leave, they clean up the theater. But that is all they do. If anything else happens during the course of that movie, if something happens to the screen, you know, if something happens with people talking or somebody being rude, anything, they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing.
What would you say you do here?
And I think it's because they're afraid of repercussions. I'm not sure why they don't intervene or try to help or, you know, just get the troublemakers out of the theater. They just sit there and let it happen. Now, one of the things that kind of turns me off about going to the movies, not just in Qatar, but everywhere around the world, is the people that go to see the movie with you. I go to see the movie for escapism and to enjoy, you know, being in another world. A lot of these people go and they're talking on the phone.
I like this phone. This is a nice fucking phone.
You know, here's the thing, right? If you need to take a phone call because it's an emergency, which really is the only acceptable time that you should be answering a phone in the theater, then go ahead and do that, right? But you should have your phone on vibrate, and you should use, you know, a little voice modulation, control your voice. Not, hey, what's going on? I'm here at the movies, and then keep talking, okay? This is how you answer. You pick up the phone, hey, I'm in the movie. Let me go outside, and then I'll call you back. That's what you should be doing. But there are two really great solutions for people who have to use their phones, who have to answer their phones in the theater.
Get out! Get out! Get the fuck out!
One is ignore the phone or just turn the power off. And two is get the fuck out and don't bother people while they're trying to watch the movie. So the people talking on the phone is really annoying. But then, on top of that, especially here in the GCC, not just Qatar, but in Kuwait, Dubai, every place I've gone here, people love to text. They love to be on WhatsApp. They love to be doing Snapchat because for some reason people still like Snapchat here. I don't get it, but whatever.
I like it, but I think it's something bad.
They're doing Instagram, whatever. They're on their phone, and it's super annoying.
I want to know, I truly do. How do you live with yourself?
But I wouldn't mind it so much if they would just do a few things to have some courtesy for others. One, turn the volume down so nobody has to hear all your notifications and the little voice notes and everything else. Nobody wants that, all right? The second thing is turn the haptic feedback off because no one wants to hear while they're trying to watch a movie. The third thing is turn the brightness of your phone all the way down.
That's all you have to do.
You can still see it because that theater is pitch black, but for some reason, everyone here has their brightness all the way up. So every time somebody gets a retweet or a like on one of their stupid selfies or a text message or whatever, they hold their phone up with a bright ass screen and they say, hey, let me look at this thing that's really not important, and say fuck everybody else in the theater because they don't matter. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I've seen it here a few times, like when I went to see Jurassic World, is people FaceTiming the movie. So they're sitting in the theater, they turn their phone around, they have their earbuds in or whatever, and they're talking to the person who's watching the movie with them. So they're basically pirating the movie live. Now, when I went to see Jurassic World, it was myself and a bunch of people that I'd worked with during Ramadan for this volunteer organization. So when we went to the theater, we were super excited because we were going to sit down as a group and watch the movie. Ramadan was finished so we can stuff our faces in public and everything. And of course, the whole theater is empty except for us and our seats, right? And the thing about theaters here is before you see the movie, you pick your seats that you're going to sit in. It's not like in the States where you just walk in and first come, first serve for the seats. You have to actually pick your seats, right? And when you pick your seats, there's a computer screen that shows you which seats are taken. So you can say, oh, no one's sitting around this chair. I want that chair, right? And for some reason, there's always some fat asshole who is going to be chomping on their popcorn and, eating their ice cream and drinking their Cokes all loud and talking.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
He has to sit like right behind you or right beside you. He can't sit anywhere else in this huge theater. He has to sit right next to you. And that's what happened this time, right? So we're sitting here trying to watch Jurassic World. Not a great movie, but whatever. We'll get into that another time. And this guy is sitting behind us mumbling and watching the movie on FaceTime with his friend. So I finally just turned around and asked him to please stop, please be quiet. If he wants to FaceTime, fine. Be rude, FaceTime. But just be quiet and let your friend watch and you watch. So of course he got quiet and he stayed quiet for all of about 2 minutes. And then he started talking again. So I turned around and I gave him the look. Now, if you don't know me and I give you the look, remember, I'm 6'2". I'm 188 centimeters. I'm like 115 kilos. That's like 240 pounds. I'm a big guy. I have been told that I can be fairly intimidating. So when I give people the look, they tend to shut their mouth.
I will fuck you, all right? I will enter you.
I'm going to try to do the look. I can't do it right now because I'm not really angry. But when I'm angry, the look is pretty scary. So that's the look. As you can see, it's pretty scary, probably pretty creepy. I look a little, rapey or whatever, but it's pretty effective. It usually works. So for some reason, he decided to be an asshole and not listen and be discourteous to everybody else in the theater, and he kept talking. So the third time I stood up, I turned around, I told him shut his damn mouth or I was gonna go get the manager and have his ass kicked out of the theater.
You like movies? We'll make a movie.
Oh, God.
We'll make Mama Say Knock You Out, starring my fist in your dick hole.
And that is saying it nicely. What I really said was not very nice. And I found out later because I was new to the country, what I said could actually get me a little bit of jail time. One more thing about the phones and then I'll shut up about the phones. If you want to take a selfie, if you want to do a check-in, you want to do some little Snapchat bullshit or whatever, do it before the movie. Nobody cares if you do it before the movie. Not during the trailers though. If you do it during the trailers, you are a horrible person.
You are a horrible person. That's what it says. A horrible person.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's pretty bad in the States and the UK and stuff from what my friends tell me. But over here, it is horrendous. Every time you go to the theater, there's going to be somebody on their phone or somebody doing something really douchey that's phone related.
Hey, everyone hates you, and they're not wrong to feel that way.
But enough about the phones and the selfish people who use them during the movies. Like I said earlier, you pick the seats that you want to be in when you go to the theaters. And I've had many, many times where I go to the movies and it's a packed theater because it's a premiere and there are people in the seats that I got tickets for. And they sit there and they're adamant about, no, these were the seats that we got. You're in a different row. There must be something wrong or whatever. Now, I did fall for that shit the first time it happened.
I am an idiot.
I went into the movie. There were two guys in our seats. They said, "Oh, man, you got the wrong seats." And I said, "Oh, man, it must be a mistake. My bad." And then myself and my girl, we went over into some different seats. It was a weird angle. My neck hurt after the movie. And then I figured out that they were lying pieces of shit.
You are a rude,
terrible person.
And that they just decided to be there. And the 2 seats that we took were the seats that they were supposed to be in. So that's another thing you have to deal with, is people taking the wrong seats. And of course, the theater attendants will do nothing about that. But of course, most of this stuff isn't isolated to Qatar. This is stuff that you have to deal with everywhere in the GCC and everywhere in the world. And that's why a lot of people aren't going to the theaters as much anymore, because, you know, it costs a lot of money to go see a movie, especially if you go to the 3D or the 4D or the IMAX or the, you know, the mix of all of those put together. It's going to cost you a ton of money. Plus, you go to the concession stand, you know, just to get a popcorn, chocolates, and a drink, and you just spend as much as you did on the movie just for your snacks.
How much for an order of ribs?
$2.50.
$2.50.
So with all of these issues and the cost of the movie and the concession stand, is it worth it? Here's the thing. I love the movies. I love going to the movies. It's why I'm a filmmaker. I have a dream of one day going and sitting in a theater and having one of my movies up on the screen, a documentary, whatever it is, and everyone's watching it and I see their reactions and stuff. That would be one of the best things that will ever happen in my life. I'd be so excited for it. So I love the theater. I love going to the movies. I love Vox, Novo, Flick, all of them. The theater going experience is like nothing else when it's done the right way, when you don't have a bunch of people doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, it's a nice theater, it's a good movie. There's nothing like that feeling. It's really cool, and it can stick with you for a lifetime. I remember when I went to see The Return of the Jedi with my dad when I was little. I still think about that. It was a really cool movie. You know, I got to see it with my dad. It was a bonding experience. You know, there were some people dressed up as Star Wars stuff. It was great. So, if you are one of those people who goes to the movies and you talk, or you get on your phone, or you just do rude shit like take people's seats, or, you know, camera flash or whatever, stop doing that.
You're tearing me apart!
Some people, they only get to see one movie every couple months because they can't afford it. So when they go to the theaters, they're going to live vicariously through somebody else's adventure. They're going there to escape the real world. And every time you talk or get on your phone, you're ruining it for them. You're being insensitive, you're being selfish, you're being a horrible, horrible person.
As far as Grandpa's concerned, you're both pieces of shit.
Basically, this video boils down to let everyone enjoy the movie, be courteous, don't be an asshole. So unless you're a neurosurgeon on call, turn off your phone. It doesn't need to be on while you're in the theater, all right?
Why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be